ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to ABS News Talk with yours truly, Chris. And thanks for tuning in. And I want to welcome all of you tuning in from the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, Cameroon, and all of sub-Saharan Africa having ABS on your satellite. It's a pleasure to be back with you today. This promises to be a very interesting broadcast, and I want to urge you, if you are watching by way of the social media, that is Facebook. Unfortunately, we are not streaming on YouTube today, only for today. For some technical reasons, we are not streaming on YouTube. But if you are watching on satellite, Intelsat and Amos satellite, we are all there. And if you are watching by way of the social media, that is Facebook and Twitter, go ahead, hit your share button and let everybody out there know the anchor man is back and alive. Please stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once more, thank you for tuning in and being part of the broadcast today. It has been a while that I have not been live on ABS for reasons I just could not control, but I am glad I am back, and this time we are going to come to you on a weekly basis and as regularly as we can. And for those of you watching in Africa, of course, ABS was also off the air for a while, but I am glad to announce ABS is in all of Africa by way of Intelsat and Amos satellite. We are also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I am not so sure whether today, just for today, we are on YouTube, but you can rest assured that we will get that right. But please, if you are joining by way of Facebook, go ahead, hit your share button. Let me get your like button and your share button. Let everybody know out there that the anchor man is not just live, he is still alive. He is still alive. I have heard some rumors that the anchor man was arrested Of course, your anchor man has never been arrested, will never be arrested, in spite of every work being done by the enemy in La République du Cameroon to get your anchor man behind bars. That will never happen. That will never happen. So please, I am glad to be back here, and I just want to say that I want to thank all of you who showed up in Washington, D.C. Last week to stand with us as we celebrated the passing of our mother last weekend in Maryland, not Washington, D.C. Of course, they call it the Metro. But again, I want to appreciate all of you. And that was a snippet, ladies and gentlemen, from that celebration, memorial celebration of the passing of my mother in Maryland last weekend. Of course, she was 82. She was 82. No, sorry, she was 84 when she passed. And once more, I want to appreciate all of you who showed up in Washington, D.C., Maryland area to celebrate with us. We all couldn't fathom the number of people who showed up. Well over 700 people showed up to stand with us, to celebrate with us in that event. It was huge. It was huge, and so many others had to turn back for either not being able to enter the hall for lack of space. A hall that seated 500 people capacity was filled to the brim. Over 200 more were outside. There are those who came and found no parking and had to turn back home. Again, once more, on behalf of the entire family, I want to show our gratitude and appreciation for you turning out to be with us. In the days ahead, I will be bringing you some of the videos from that celebration. Before I bring you my guests tonight, which are very important personalities, I also like to remind all of you that here at the interim government of Ambazonia, we are having a new leader coming up. The interim government is having a new leader in the person of Dr. Anthony Epa. Dr. Anthony Epa is taking over from yours truly as leader of the interim government of Ambazonia. Of course, I am so sure that most of you know Dr. Epa, who has been on the television here on several occasions to address you, to make contributions. So Dr. Epa will be taking over from me. An election took place last Sunday, and he was elected. A joint meeting of the Restoration Council, the Cabinet, and the chairs, LGA and the county chairs, they all came together to elect the president of the interim government. That was following the nomination of, I think, 9 people into that position. 9 people were nominated. No, I think there was a total of 13 people nominated for that position, and it zeroed down to Dr. Epa and Dr. Ngwambe. And at the end of the day, Dr. Epa carried the day. Dr. Epa carried the day, and coming this Sunday, he will be inaugurated to take over from yours truly. Of course, I handed over because my term officially came to an end today, September the 26th. My term came officially to an end today, September the 26th. And I promise from day number one that I took over, I wasn't going to stay here past a day on my term. And I have done just that. I will be officially addressing Ambazonia on Monday as the leader of the interim government. Again, that is coming up on Monday. You cannot miss that address. That will be my last address as leader of the interim government and the Ambazonia's struggle for independence. That will be on Monday. I have a lot to share with you on Monday when I come on. So please, that is what is happening here at the interim government. And again, Dr. Epa is coming up. Dr. Epa is coming up, will be coming up on October 1st to address Ambazonia as leader of the interim government. Please do not touch your remote. I will be right back. I will be right back. And when I come back, I bring you my official presentation for the day. I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know that I was muted. I am distracted here because we're trying to get the guests connected. Again, I will be hosting Rouhaya Tchiroma, the person you find on your screen. That is the daughter of Issa Tchiroma, Rouhaya Tchiroma, who will be joining me. She is my special guest tonight. I will also be joined by Dr. Chris Impeng, who is the communication campaign chair, ladies and gentlemen, for Issa Tchiroma. He will be joining me from Yaoundé. But for the moment, I am kind of distracted because my main guest is having difficulties connecting to the set. I am hoping that she succeeds to do so. But please give me a short time back. Give me a short time out. We want to make sure that she is connected before I come on with that segment of the show. So please stay put. Do not go away. This promises to be very, very interesting. Stay put, please.
The time has come for history to rewrite itself. The rights and wrongs of the Fumban Conference, of John Go Foncha, Eshti Muna and Augustine Gumjoa. For politicians to shake hands while stepping on necks, chanting slogans like spell, unity and progress. But the people chant, we are tired. We are tired of lines with no ink, tired of cures for votes that don't count, tired of choosing between silence and bullets. Let them come. With their promises dressed in perfumes and lies, let them come. We were taught to praise the chains that choked us, taught that independence was a gift wrapped in empty ballot boxes. Our flags are stitched from wounds. Our anthems hum with hunger. A land that dances to the drumbeat of silence, where Anglophone children spell injustice before they know the alphabet. Where ballots sometimes vanish like truths in the wind, where promises fill the air like gas before an explosion. A land that even bees wears a camouflage uniform, and democracy is a whispered rumor, scared to speak its own name. The time has come again. Africa is not dying. Africa is being suffocated by her own sons who drink from the calabash of power. Then piss on their own people. We are ruled by men who speak of God, while devouring their own children. And you ask us why we rage, why our mouths spit metaphors sucked in fire. Because we have seen dreams butchered in boardrooms, seen justice kidnapped for ransom, seen hope leashed at dawn. But still we stand, still we rise, still we spit truth into microphones like it's our only weapon. This is not just another election. This is not just about ink on fingers. This is not just about blood. This is about blood on pavements. About mothers whispering names of sons who disappeared before they could say change. We do not vote for names. We vote for the future we are willing to bleed for. We vote for classrooms instead of prisons. For leaders who do not run from questions. We vote so that our children can ask, what next? Instead of what happened. We will be waiting with our eyes open, with our tongues sharpened, and our spirits unshaken. We are wounded, yes. But this time, when the drums go silent, it will not be for mourning. It will be for listening. It would be for reckoning. It would be for rising. The time has come for history to rewrite itself. The rights and wrongs of the Fumban Conference, of John Go Foncha, Eshti Muna and Augustine Gumjoa. For politicians to shake hands while stepping on necks, chanting slogans like spell, unity and progress. But the people chant, we are tired. We are tired of lines with no ink, tired of cures for votes that don't count, tired of choosing between silence and bullets. Let them come. With their promises dressed in perfumes and lies, let them come. We were taught to praise the chains that choked us, taught that independence was a gift wrapped in empty ballot boxes. Our flags are stitched from wounds. Our anthems hum with hunger. A land that dances to the drumbeat of silence, where Anglophone children spell injustice before they know the alphabet. Where ballots sometimes vanish like truths in the wind, where promises fill the air like gas before an explosion. A land that even bees wears a camouflage uniform, and democracy is a whispered rumor, scared to speak its own name. The time must come again. Africa is not dying. Africa is being suffocated by her own sons who drink from the calabash of power, then piss on their own people. We are ruled by men who speak of God, while devouring their own children. And you ask us why we rage, why our mouths spit metaphors sucked in fire. Because we have seen dreams butchered in boardrooms, seen justice kidnapped for ransom, seen hope leashed at dawn. But still we stand, still we rise, still we spit truth into microphones like it's our only weapon. This is not just another election. This is not just about ink on fingers. This is not just about blood. This is about blood on pavements. About mothers whispering names of sons who disappeared before they could say change. We do not vote for names. We vote for the future we are willing to bleed for. We vote for classrooms instead of prisons. For leaders who do not run from questions. We vote so that our children can ask, what next? Instead of what happened. We will be waiting with our eyes open, with our tongues sharpened, and our spirits unshaken. We are wounded.
L'opportunité aux médias nationaux et internationaux de prendre des moments forts, mesdames, mesdemoiselles, messieurs. Alors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what you are watching there is a campaign video clip from Issa Tchiroma. That is a campaign clip from Issa Tchiroma. That is the talk of the day in La République du Cameroon. Today, Issa Tchiroma, you all know, has been a member of the Cameroon government for decades, but in what I title Paul Biya's nemesis, Issa Tchiroma, if elections were to hold tomorrow on a level playing field, free and fair, it would be said easily that he would be the next president of Cameroon. And he would be the one to kick out Mr. Biya. Unfortunately, we can't say that it's a free and fair election or on a level playing field. Now, I'd like you to compare what you see there, compare what you see there with this footage of the CPDM campaign rally. I understand this is somewhere in Douala. This is a CPDM campaign rally somewhere in Douala. Somewhere in Douala.
Meeting du RDPC, voilà la campagne qui a commencé. Ça, c'est le meeting du RDPC. Vous pouvez constater tous les chaises sont vides. Tous les chaises sont vides. J'ai eu l'idée de filmer un peu tard. Ils ont partagé le...
In this case, even bread and sardine could not pull people to attend the CPDM rally in Douala. So, Issa Tchiroma is the man of the hour. He happens to be the man of the hour, as we can deduce from the crowds that we see everywhere he goes, be it in the north, his stronghold, be it in the east of that country or the south. He is the talk of the day. He is the politician of the hour, and people are thronging to his campaign. And that is why I thought today to do a very special interview with somebody who knows Tchiroma very, very well. And I am talking about Rouhaya Tchiroma, who is the daughter, the first daughter of Issa Tchiroma. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Rouhaya on the screen joining me from Africa. But before I get to her, I like to bring you my monologue for the day. And of course, this is on the subject of the elections in La République du Cameroon, talking about the rise of Issa Tchiroma in the political terrain in that country. That will be the subject of this monologue I bring to you today. Cameroon today finds itself at one of the most paradoxical, unpredictable crossroads in its long and troubled political journey. And at the center of this unfolding drama is a name many of you know very well. A name once synonymous with loyalty to Paul Biya's regime. A man who for over 30 decades defended the very system that has suffocated the dreams of generations. I am talking about Issa Tchiroma, the man you find with me on the screen. Now, here is where the paradox deepens. Over the last few weeks and months, Issa Tchiroma has been pulling the kinds of crowds politicians dream of, whether in Garoua, his native northern stronghold, or in the east and south, the very heartland of Paul Biya's fortress. People have been showing up in their tens of thousands to listen to Issa Tchiroma. Not trickling in out of curiosity, but converging, swelling into human seas, eager to listen, eager to hear what Issa Tchiroma has to say. And it begs the question, what exactly is going on here? Because if elections in Cameroon were genuinely free, if the playing field were not tilted, if the machinery of power were not rigged in favor of the incumbent and his cronies, Issa Tchiroma, judging by the sheer energy on the ground, could already be spoken of as the next president of La République du Cameroon. That's how massive his rallies have become. That's how magnetic his message appeared to be. But pause for a moment, because this is where the element of surprise cuts deep. The surprise is not that a politician is pulling crowds in La République du Cameroon. Cameroonians are hungry for change, and they will listen to anyone who speaks a new language of hope. The surprise is that this new hope is being embodied not by a long-standing opposition leader, not by an activist who has paid the price of dissent, not by a young reformer rising from the grassroots, but by a man who sat inside the very dictatorship for nearly 4 decades. Let's be honest here. If one were to go searching for a political savior for La République du Cameroun, the last place you did expect to look is inside the belly of Paul Biya's rotten establishment. For more than 30 years, Issa Tchiroma defended Biya's policies, explained away the government's failures, and in many moments was the very face of his propaganda machinery. He was not only inside a house of rot, he was helping maintain it, break by break, and word by word. So understandably, when he resigned a few months ago and announced his candidacy, many people rolled their eyes. They blinked. Many political analysts, many everyday Cameroonians dismissed him immediately. They saw in his move nothing more than a clever tactic. Resign now, pretend to oppose, run for election, gather some attention, and then after it all, negotiate a cushy appointment in Biya's next government. That's what the skeptics said. That's what they saw. That's what the street concluded. This man is not serious, they said. This is another game of survivor, another political chameleon at work, many thought. And you cannot blame the skepticism. After all, Cameroon's politics has been filled with opportunists who cloak themselves with a garment of change, only to go back to the master's table, Paul Biya's table, to ask for the crumbs or to share the crumbs. But now, ladies and gentlemen, as weeks have rolled into months, something peculiar is happening. Issa Tchiroma's rallies have grown bigger. His speeches have shifted in tone. His message, direct, passionate, and laced with the pain of ordinary Cameroonians, seems to be cutting deeper than anyone anticipated. Suddenly, political pundits are whispering, could we have misjudged this man? Could it be that, for once, a defector from the Biya system has not just jumped ship for survival, but is actually determined to steer the ship of the nation in a new direction? This is the million-dollar question. Can Issa Tchiroma really win? And beyond winning, does he genuinely have the resolve to save Cameroon from the shame, from the mess he was part of? Because let's not sanitize history. The mess we talk about, the crumbling infrastructure, the suffocated democracy, the silenced voices, the plundered economy, the insecurity, it is a mess he was once part of, whether by action or by silence. So when he now says, and I quote, I will fix Cameroon, the counter question is inevitable. But sir, were you not standing in the very room when it was broken? That is a tension. That is a paradox. And this is where tonight's conversation becomes important. We must also be honest with ourselves about human nature. Sometimes reformers do emerge from the belly of old systems. Sometimes those who once defended a regime come face to face with their conscience, their people, and their history, and they decide to change course. Sometimes, too, it is the insider who knows the depth of the rot who becomes most passionate about uprooting it, about fixing it. We've seen that time and again in history. Could this be the case with Issa Tchiroma? In his candidacy, is his candidacy simply a personal quest for redemption? A man seeking to rewrite his legacy before the curtain falls? Or is it a genuine desire to offer Cameroon a new path? And if it is genuine, what exactly is driving it? Is it the pressure of history? Or is it simply the cry of the people finally breaking through the walls of his conscience? Whatever the answer, whatever the case, what cannot be denied is that the crowds are real. The people are showing up. And in a country where fatigue with the status quo is universal, any message that sounds like freedom, like change, like dignity regained, resonates immediately. But here is where we must also confront harsh reality, ladies and gentlemen. In Cameroon, crowds do not always translate into ballots, and ballots do not always translate into victory. We saw that in the early days of John Frundi and his SDF, Social Democratic Front. Elections are not simply a matter of numbers, but of systems. Systems that for 4 decades have been perfected to secure one outcome, and one outcome only: poor beer. So while Issa Tchiroma may be pulling unprecedented crowds, while he may be igniting fresh hope, the question of whether that can be converted into real victory remains highly uncertain. Tonight, though, we are not here to speculate endlessly. We are here to look deeper, to peel the layers, to hear from someone who knows Issa Tchiroma not just as a politician, but as a dad, as a father. And so it is with great honor that I welcome today's broadcast a very special guest, Issa Tchiroma's own senior daughter, Rouhaya Tchiroma. Rouhaya has witnessed the evolution of his father, not from the outside as the rest of us have, but from within, across the dinner tables, across quiet conversations, across the moments of tension and doubt that the public never sees. She has seen him navigate power. She has seen him resign. And now she is seeing him on the campaign trail, speaking with the energy of a man newly reborn. So tonight, we will ask her the questions many of you at home are asking. Who really is Issa Tchiroma at this moment in history? What is truly driving him to step out of beer's shadow after so many years? What does she see in her father that perhaps the rest of us do not see? Does she believe the father has the steel, the courage, the sincerity to save Cameroon? This is about truth. This is about clarity. This is about trying to understand whether the man we are seeing on the campaign trail is a new Issa Tchiroma, or simply the same man in a new costume. And now, without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you my guest for tonight, Rouhaya Tchiroma. Rouhaya Tchiroma. Rouhaya, it's a pleasure to see you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Mr. Anu, Chris, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really an honor for me to be here. And for the chance that you're giving me to talk about the man, not the politician, to talk about Mr. Issa Tchiroma, not as the politician that everyone knows, but to give me the opportunity to talk about the man, the father that he is. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let's start with this. Let's start with this. I think just about a month ago, your dad was traveling to Senegal, and you were actually in his company when he was stopped, and his passport is confiscated, seized from him. That was the same thing that happened to my mom. My mom, who passed away recently, was traveling to Canada, and they confiscated her passport and visa in Douala. She never had to travel. She lived and died as a refugee in Ghana. Again, your dad's passport was confiscated in your company. Tell us the story, exactly what happened, please.
First of all, I'm really sorry for what happened to your mother. It's really unfortunate. So really my sincere, deepest condolences. So as for my father, we were planning to travel to Senegal just at the beginning, a few weeks after he resigned, to pay tribute to Amadou Haïdjo, because he attached great importance to the fathers of that's how they call them, to the forefathers of Cameroon. So our former president Haïdjo being one of them. So because I reside in Senegal, so
right.
It was easier for him, to come with me. So we planned the trip, everything was fine. He was holding his ordinary passport. He wasn't even traveling with a diplomatic passport or service passport. So we went, we did all the checking. So we were at the boarding. We're about to board, we're I don't know how you call it, at the boarding room. Is it how you say it? Sorry, I don't know the correct word in English.
Right,
but then we're sitting there when a police officer came to us. During that time, his a hostess took his passport to do all the formalities, before at the immigration. So while we were sitting waiting for her to come, we had our boarding pass. So a police officer came and told him that he could not board. And that was quite surprised. He was quite surprised, what's the reason? And they told him that we just cannot. We have instructions from the presidency that we cannot let you board in. And he was very furious. He's like, but why? I'm an ordinary citizen. What's the reason? The person say, well, it's just instruction. I have no reason to give. It's just an instruction that we received. Actually, I need to correct, they did not confiscate his passport, but he was just not allowed to board. So
it was what?
It wasn't confiscated. We were not allowed to board on the plane for Senegal. His passport was not confiscated because people assume it was confiscated. He's still holding his passport, but they just would not allow
us. Passport.
He still has his passport. He still has his ordinary passport,
but he's not allowed to travel to Senegal.
Yeah, he's not allowed to travel to Senegal. They said only he needs to have an authorization from the presidency. And he was like, but what's the reason? Because I'm traveling with an ordinary passport. I'm just a regular citizen. And the person just said there was no notification, nothing. It was just a verbal. It was simply verbal. And the guy said, well, that's the instruction. There is nothing we can do about it. So he was very serious. And he told them that cannot happen in this country, that he's going to gather all the journalists and then, and just denounce it. So that's exactly what happened. And then we left. We left the airport.
All right. So now he was visiting with you. You were in his company when this happened. Which airport was this? Douala or Yaoundé?
Simalen. He was at Simalen Airport.
Okay.
He was at Simalen Airport.
Was he ever taken into questioning?
No.
And what did you feel seeing this happen to your father, a man who
it was horrible. It was, first of all, honestly, it was very traumatic for me because it just reminded me some very traumatic event that happened when I was a little girl. I was about 10 years old when one morning, I was left to school, and then I came back. My dad was not there, and I saw like all those police officers coming at home, like putting almost like running sack the place. So it was very terrifying for me. So when I saw them coming, and it was very special, and and
Of course, everybody's
yeah,
dad
and I was actually
is
afraid. My
special to
concern at
him,
that
right?
time, yeah, my concern at that moment was not only that. I mean, I wasn't even worried about the passport at that time. I just wanted to make sure that we could leave the airport without him being taken away. But at that time, he was really, there's something very peculiar about that. You can say anything about him, but he's extremely courageous, and he always speaks his mind. So he started shouting at the police officer. He's telling them, like, in this country, this can't go on like this. And, and people were looking, but he was just, I was telling him, okay, let's just leave. Let's just leave, I mean, let's just leave. We're going to deal with it later on. But yeah, it was just, his freedom, that again was just another, how can I say it even? There was just
you and
so
I have
arbitrary. It
had
was something
a
absolutely
discussion.
arbitrary. It was totally arbitrary. Yes.
Right. You and I have had a discussion recently about what happened, and you've lived out of the country for quite a while. You are a medical doctor, but you are now very actively engaged in seeing that there is change in Cameroon. We will be getting into
Totally.
that. But standing there and
Yes.
seeing your father, who has served the regime for about 3 decades, told you cannot travel out of the country, you must take permission from the head of state. How did you feel
Yes.
standing there and watching it?
I felt terrible, but again, there was a kind of resolve in me. I mean, there is one thing I first need to say. I've always stayed away from politics. I always stayed away from politics because to me, I've seen my dad being so frustrated for so long. So I've always wanted to stay away from politics. I mean, I'm a healer, like I'm a doctor, so I've always been concerned with the welfare of people. So I always kept away because I told him that politics is way too complicated. So I don't want to be involved. So to me, me being so involved now and engaged is because I can relate to the people. I feel the people. I feel the pain of the people. I feel the desperation in people. So this is something that really drives something very strongly in me. I can't just sit and just pretend that, okay, I'm not concerned. This is not my problem. Maybe because I've had like opportunities, that other people unfortunately don't have in our country because of the system. So to me, seeing my dad facing this arbitrary, I was like, okay, you know what? This is about time just to do something. So I felt, rather than being frustrated, I'm like, this can't go on. This just cannot go on. We have to stop this.
So when you say you feel the people, the frustration, the pain of the people,
I feel.
is this something you've always felt, or only recently you are feeling it?
I've always been like that. I'm very, very close to my dad, and we look alike. First of all, physically, I think so. At least that's what
you're
people
right.
say. But also in our personality, Dad is a highly empathetic person. I remember from childhood, and it has always been like that. He will always look after the poor people. He will always help. I remember even me being like, I think about 8 years old. One day we were going. It was the Sunday we used to go to Zepol. We used to live in Douala, and there was one man. I think one beggar was there. So he opened the window and he was going to give him a little bit of money. And the guy told him that he liked his shirt. That was like, you like my shirt? He's like, okay, he just wait for me here. So he just went. He wasn't far from home. He took off his shirt. We came back and he gave it to the beggar. He gave the beggar his own shirt. And that was I was a little girl, but he's like, Rouhaya, you always have to consider that, that you bless. There are always people that are less that are less favored than you. So you always have to think about them. You know, you have to do something to help. So it has always been like that. I mean, even our home, you know, people know that there are always like tens of people who come, you know, eat out at his table, regardless of the social class. You know, he's very, and yeah, I mean, there are countless, you know, examples of, you know, of that pathetic nature.
I
And
get
he
your
cries. I mean,
point.
you know,
I get your point,
sorry?
but you know, people will be asking if your dad
Yes.
is this good person, good man,
Yes.
morally upright person that you are describing here? How come it took him so long to leave, to resign from a regime that enslaved the country for 40 years? 40 years. Wasn't him seeing the pain? Why now?
What maybe you're not saying, maybe it's important to remind people that he has suffered, you know, he has been a victim of the system because he has been locked for nearly 7 years, arbitrary. And has been locked for nearly 7 years, arbitrary by the same regime. So, but there is one thing about him that has always been driven by service. For him, I mean, I remember him telling me that he got involved in politics at a very young age. He said he had his first awareness of importance of politics when he was about 14, he told me, because his dad somehow was an activist, you know, although he was in our Lamida, I don't know how you call it, you know, we have like small kingdoms in the north. So he was like a chief there.
Yeah.
He was involved, he was sort of an activist also. He was even a rebel, I have to say it. So that has always been driven by service. He has to serve the nation, he has to serve his country. So I think that when he came out of jail and then, you know, he fought, you know, for democracy, you know, he had like different, because people tend to forget that before working in the, like trying to work from within, trying to serve from within, he first fought this system. But came a point, I think, and that's where, I mean, as I say, I'm not a politician, and I admire, you know, the way the perception that he had, because what he said is like, listen, if you want to change the system, there are two ways. Either you're really powerful, you're strong, you fight it from the outside. It means you have the means to do it. Or you have to go from within and try to change it from within. And that, I think, initially, that's really what he wanted to do. Because again, people cannot deny. I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect, you know, because I'm his daughter, people might think that I have like an idealistic perception of him. I don't think so. I think I have also a little bit of realism when I talk about him. But what happened is, people cannot deny that everywhere that he'd been in, all the ministry that he served, you know, he left a legacy that, of course, afterwards was destroyed, whether in transportation, you know, he brings a lot of, you know, he brought a lot of positive things there. And
Talking about
unfortunately,
talking about
yes,
that,
yes,
you will recall that just after he made public his intention to run for president after the resignation, he
yes,
was accused of embezzlement. And I think as we speak,
yes.
apparently some investigations are still going on him. What would you have to say about that?
I'm saying that, you know, if honestly at this point, if they really had something against him, nothing would have prevented them from using it against him. At this time, he would be locked up. He would be locked up. You know how the system is. And because they knew if somebody in
But you
this regime
understand
knows
also that they really don't need to have anything about you to
yes,
lock you up. They
yes,
simply need to frame you up and pick you up
yeah,
and put
they can
put
do
you
that.
in
Of
jail
course, they
and
can
then
do
tell
that.
the rest of the world that investigations are going on, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why timing is absolutely critical at this time, in this situation. Because if he had resigned earlier, at this moment, he would have probably been locked up. They didn't have time because the time was so short, so they didn't have time to frame him or to make up something. And the way things happened, it took them by surprise. And I think that initially they didn't take him seriously. They didn't take him seriously initially.
Okay.
They thought that maybe he was trying to have a position, that's what they thought. They initially thought, because they didn't try, to offer like, you can get a position. They absolutely did not believe, because I think they're so arrogant somehow. That's what I see, for them. How can somebody leave? How can somebody resign? How can somebody, who have defended them, who had some privilege as being a minister, could resign for them, and they just could not believe it. They thought that maybe he was trying to get a position. Yes.
Yes, talking about that, talking about
yes.
About somebody who has served them resigning, and they're not taking him seriously. I'm sure you've had this discussion with him. He has a political party, the FSNC, yes. I believe. I may have it wrong, but it's close. He joined the BS regime under the umbrella of his own political party that I am talking about. And for all these years, he stays in BS cabinet as a sort of alliance with the CPDM. So tell me what he has told you that.
Excuse me, I need to correct here. He wasn't an ally of the CPD. He was an ally of the president, because he just and that's also something that we need to correct here, because his party, he just made a promise to help the president, until the end of his career. The end of his career. There is no alliance between CPDM and FSNC. There has never been any.
But he served.
There has never been. It was him and the president.
Under what capacity did he serve as minister under the CPDM regime? Wasn't it an alliance? Because he still maintained his political party, and the moment he jumped out, he resigned, he went and rejuvenated his party.
No, it wasn't an alliance. They had no agreement. The two parties had no agreement, unlike other parties. No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. So now, look at this scenario here. Kanto has been running for president now for us probably about 3 terms now, and they did everything to cancel him. They put him in jail. They brought him out. He registered to stand elections again. And first, they disqualify his party. He goes under the umbrella or the name of another party, the UPC man in them. They disqualify his candidacy, and they do all of this to stop him. Now, but Tchiroma just left the regime, and they didn't do anything. If they wanted to stop him, wouldn't they have stopped him? Now, this question is important because you heard my monologue. There are people out there who are saying, well, he is just being a smart politician. He just want to go out there, show some, demonstrate some weight out there with the crowd is pulling, so that at the end of the day, Biya takes power again and bring him back into a position, a cabinet position in the government. Why are these people wrong?
You know why? The thing that happened, he just outsmarted them. That's all. The problem with Kanto, he was very obvious right from the beginning. As I told you, initially, they didn't take him seriously. First of all, they knew that his political party didn't have a strong foothold in the country, like this small party. Secondly, they knew he didn't have any means, he doesn't have money. It's like, they knew. So he didn't represent a threat to them. So they were observing him. They were observing, and also if they went against him right from the beginning, I think they thought they were going to give him more visibility. They were going to make him more important. So they were like, okay, let us just not give much attention, which actually served him. Because again, they realized that if they realized that the only way they could stop him eventually, it's by promoting the idea that he was working for them, for the regime. Because, they are extremely cunning. Once they realized that people were giving him attention and they were questioning, first of all, initially when people were questioning his sincerity, they just let it happen. They just kind of fueled it somehow. They did it. They did everything possible just to fuel that idea in people's mind. They're very cunning. But the thing is, I think Dad was very fortunate also because of the timing. Because what people need to know, I mean, it has been really, and I know many might not believe it because of, the way he served, especially when he was the spokesperson of the government. Yes. Because, he's someone who does things like, he's, I don't know how we say it in English, when he does something, he does it entirely. He doesn't do things he doesn't go halfway. He either does it completely or he doesn't do it at all. So when he was serving and again as a spokesperson, one thing is he was supposed just to defend the nation regardless of the cost. That's what his assignment, to defend. So that's one thing. But again, they knew that having done that so well for nearly 10 years, I think for a little bit more than 10 years, I think even, it would be difficult for him to prove that he was against the regime.
But they knew that. Look at it this way. The fact that you speak on behalf of the government, on behalf of a regime, does that mean that you lose your conscience and go out and say things that you yourself know they are inaccurate? I have represented the Ambazonian movement for 9 years now, speaking on behalf of it. I am a very strict person. I will not go out and say what I know is false. And I would prefer to step away, step down, and not go out and say anything that I know is not accurate. Look at what has been going on in Ambazonia for the past 9 years. For example, your father went on television and said, nobody is being killed in Ambazonia. How do you say this with a free conscience?
Well, this part, I think I will let him, I hope you will give him an opportunity to answer that question. But from what I know, it has been one of the most difficult, assignment that he had. But he had to do it because he wasn't speaking his mind. He was speaking, and that's exactly how it is. And you can ask anyone who's a spokesperson. You're supposed to say what you are told. There is a narrative that is given to you that you have to defend, and you have to do it.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you, but as somebody with a moral integrity that you defend here, don't you think that it comes to a moment you say, you know what, it's becoming too much. I cannot keep defending these killings, these atrocities. You got to do something different. Look at him. He is the one out there telling the people, if you vote me your president, I will make sure that we'll go back to the federalism that served this country for years. Again, he knew the truth. He knew that what was going on, or still going on in Ambazonia, was wrong, but because he was defending the regime, he couldn't resist it. Where was his moral compass? That's what everybody out there would want to ask.
Yes, I totally understand, and it's legitimate to ask that question. But from what I can say, this is something as a person. Now I'm not talking about the politician, because that's part I rather let him, talk about, like, the reason, because the intricacy of it, of his position. But for one thing that I can say, that was the most difficult. These 10 years were the most difficult for him, and even got him sick. That's one thing I can say. it even got him sick, literally physically sick, because he used to come at home at night, at dinner, and he would look so devastated. He's like, you can't imagine what they do in this country. He would do that. And I would tell him, Dad, don't speak too loud, because, I, as a daughter, knowing how brutal this regime is, I was always afraid that, that they would somehow, that someone would spy and they would tell, that there would be retaliation somehow. I mean, this is a daughter speaking, but that's how it was. It was really, really, really difficult for him. So, and even it came to a point where the fact that he has to be almost schizophrenic somehow, because, like him, the person that he is, and the mask that he had to wear, to be the spokesperson. That has been, and I'm saying it, and I don't know even if he would agree me saying it, but I'm saying it anyway, because I know that's really what it was. It was very damaging for him as a person. But then again, he's someone, because he has accepted, I mean, that was his assignment. He did it the best of his ability. And I guess that, it was something very difficult. And I know that this is not something anybody can do and remain intact if the person has like a consciousness. As I say, unfortunately, we have been ruled for all these years by soulless people. That's why this country needs really deep healing.
So when your dad called you at night and lamenting, look at what they have done to this country, what exactly was he talking about?
He was talking about the embezzlement. He was talking about, like, how they drove this country, in like the poverty, like, all the suffering of the people, all the suffering. Because you have to know that, and it's still happening, like every Saturday, we have like beggars, like blind people, beggars that will come at home and they will get some food and stuff, And every time he would look at them and he would say, you see, these people, they could have, these kids, they could have gone to school, but they're not given any chance. He would look at the road, all the deterioration of the country. That was always, has been extremely painful for him, always. And there was something that was terrifying for him. He used to say that if we don't change this country, even your children, he was talking about my children, won't have any chance if it doesn't stop.
Did you at any moment did you at any moment say to him, Dad, but you are part of the country, the leadership? Did you ever say that?
I told him, but I'm like, since it's so bad, you've got to change it. You've got to do something about it. And there was always an answer. He's like, the people have to be ready also. The people have to be ready. That was the thing. He said, when the time comes, when the people are ready, because there is something, and, because that is a highly spiritual person. And he always said there is a moment for everything. And he could feel, because he resigned maybe 3 months ago. But one thing is, I can say with certainty, with assurance, because, I'm very close to him. 4 years back already, he was contemplating this moment, like the moment where he would resign. 4 years early, 4 years back. He was contemplating it 4 years back. People think that, he just woke up one morning and he saw that there was a good opportunity and let me put up a show, and, that's not how, it was a process. It was a process 4 years back.
Okay.
He was already contemplating it. He has been talking about it, but he was always, and he used to be a little bit disheartened, because he's like, look at the people, everyone, they're almost like sluggish, they're almost like hypnotized. He said, like, when the people are ready, the leader who will free them will appear. And he said, the people have to be ready. So, and I guess that, and I think that's why I have to say Dad is a workaholic. And I think that was his way to bear with the first absurdity, the cruelty, and the difficulty of the system. So he will just drown himself into work, always trying to achieve. He was an overachiever. And everyone would know that in every ministry that he's been, things have changed dramatically. So that's, yeah. So, and I think that was his way of just trying to deal with what was going on.
I'd like you to stay put, take a look at some of these crowds at his campaigns, and then I will ask you a question.
Est-ce que vous voulez encore un Biya au pouvoir? Est-ce que vous voulez Monsieur Issa Tchiroma Bakari au pouvoir? Oui! Monsieur Issa Tchiroma Bakari, c'est l'homme de l'unité. Je vous ai démontré qu'il n'est pas tribaliste. Je vous ai dit qu'il a 3 petits-fils, 3 petits-enfants, Mamileke. Son particulier est originaire de l'Ouest. Je prends pour le salut national. Je prends pour le salut national. Je prends pour le salut national.
All right. Now, you see these crowds. The last time I saw crowds like this at any political event, campaign event in Cameroon, wasn't even under Kamto, it was under Chairman John Frundi of the SDF. And what is interesting is that the crowds we see here, this is not in the north, this is actually in the east. And in the south, I think in Kem, they call it Upper Income or something like that, in the deep heart of French Cameroon. When you see these crowds, why do you see people talking to him?
Well, I think that there is something about that, as I say. He connects, he relates to people. He really connects to people at the deepest level. And that's the reason why when he speaks, people can sense it, people can feel it. And I think that he managed somehow to instill a little bit of the hope and the vision that he has for this nation, because this is something that he truly embodies. Because this is not something you can really make up, You cannot just, how can I even put it? This is not something you can just make up, It happens. There is something. It's like something magnetic. And that magnet is not something you can fabricate. Because there is something, people connect to something that is truly genuine in him. And, people don't even know, and it's not even propaganda. It's not propaganda because, they have heard so much propaganda from the regime that they became a little bit suspicious, highly suspicious. But this time there is something very different. Somebody who's ready to give away his own life for the purpose that is driving him. And I think people connect to that aspect of him. Because what you need to know is that when he started this journey, he told us, he's like, you have to be ready. Because in this journey, I might be locked up, I might be killed. All of this can happen. But this is the last thing I can give to the people. This is my last battle to make this country better. That's exactly what it was. So I think that he really embodies something genuine that people connect with. And he has a vision, he has a hope for this country.
In Cameroon, I'm sure growing up you heard again and again and again and even up to today, the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. The youths are the leaders of tomorrow. Did you ever say to him, Dad, don't you think it is time you guys move back and allow the youth to actually be the leaders of today?
Totally. I told him that, of
what
course.
Was his
of
answer?
course. I told him, but I told him in general. I didn't talk about him. I told him that it's about time. He said to me, you know what is the saddest things about this system, about this regime, is because they make sure that there is no youth that has been prepared to take over. They make sure. It was very systematic. It was very intentional. They made sure that no youth was prepared to take over. They destroyed this country so much that to an extent where unless you know exactly how the system is, it will be nearly impossible to bring it back again, like, on track. So he said to me that it will be even at this point, because no youth has been prepared, because any normal country will prepare his youth to take over. They will be prepared, even at all levels, they will be prepared to take over. But in this country, it didn't happen. The moment you start even rising, they try just to turn you around, by corruption, all the, everything possible here to make sure that you don't keep your own integrity. So the youth here has not been prepared. So for him, he felt that it would be absolutely irresponsible for them, like, the generation of leaders, to hand over the country to a youth who doesn't have experience, who's not well experienced, to tackle all the intricacy, all the complexity and the difficulties of this country. That's why he advocates for like a transition.
Are you saying that how many years after independence there are no youths in Cameroon who can run that country? I mean, consider the diaspora, for example. No. You are out there, you are a medical doctor, you are a learned person, and we have hundreds of thousands others, both in the country and out of the country. And I mean, are you serious when you say he said?
No. Excuse me, allow me to refrain, because the youth, to be prepared, you have to be in the country, you have to know the system, you have to be within. Like if I follow your train of thought, that why would we could even take like a foreigner and come and we hand him Cameroon and see how we can run. We can have all the experts who would come here in the country, but I'm not sure that they will be able to run this country. They haven't been prepared, because they have to be prepared from within, in the system. They have to be in the country. I'm not talking about the diaspora. The diaspora, they have a lot of human resources.
Are you talking being prepared in terms of the political game, or preparing in terms of understanding what the country needs?
Yeah, in terms of understanding, connecting with the people, understanding all the intricacy, all the subtleties of the country. And also, what's one thing that Dad says is like, ruling a country is not like a training center. You don't learn, you don't come and take over the country and learn how to govern a country. So I think that if we had already like younger ministers, people like the youth at certain positions, and allowing them to grow and evolve and learn from the elders, we wouldn't have been in this situation now. We would have had a natural, we have like natural leaders who would be well prepared to take over the country.
I know you have talked a little bit about the moral compass that your father has, but I'd like to ask this question. Mr. Biya took over in 1982, and I think he is up for the 43rd year in power. And that is to say that there is nobody else who can run that country. And you hear politicians in that country saying he is a gift from God, even when the guy is as good as vegetable. The same people keep saying he is as good as God. And they are going out and telling people to vote for somebody who cannot even go sit on television or the radio to address them. But this is the question. Biya has been there for 43 years. Have you spoken to your father? How many terms would he want to serve? Would he become, if he should win, another eternal leader of French Cameroon?
As he said, and he has made it very clear, he's just coming for one term as a transition. He just come for one term as a transitional, president, just for the transition, just to help rebuild the foundation, of the country.
How many years?
Well, this they have to determine. I don't know.
Because the
I can't say
Constitution right now
now.
doesn't spell out, I mean, it's unlimited, right?
No, I think one term is 7 years.
Okay,
One
7
term
years,
is
you're
7
right,
years.
yes.
7 years, that's one term. But I don't know if they're going to change that or not. But the Constitution right now is 7 years. So for him, it was very clear right from the beginning. He will just serve one term, one single term. And during that time, just to prepare the youth, just to help, fix the country. Because as he says, it is his responsibility. It is their responsibility, the elders, to try and fix it together with the youth, converging the vision, the experience of his experience with the vision of the youth to build a new Cameroon.
What is your dad telling you about the conflict in the southern Cameroon, the problems in the southern Cameroons? How does he intend to resolve the conflict? What is he telling you?
First of all, as I said, this is the saddest thing. This is the saddest. Say is not the conflict is not only in southern Cameroon. When this part of Cameroon is in pain, is the whole country that suffers. So we should not lie to ourselves. So the whole country, as I was saying, needs that healing. So to resolve this conflict, this is something that really is absolutely important to him. That's one of the reasons why he advocates federalism. First of all, not only to solve that problem in southern Cameroon, but for the whole Cameroon, to bring more justice, more how do you say, equity, more. Can you help me with that word in English?
Yes,
more
equity,
justice
yes.
and yes, exactly. So for him, he said, first of all, it's the one thing that he would do when he comes to power is to give amnesty to all the prisoners, to all the political, Amazonian prisoners. First, to give them amnesty, all of them, without any condition. And even those who were, accused of perpetrating certain acts will also be released, because we all have to come to a table for reconciliation. We have to come to the table and discuss and find together a solution. So this is the one thing. This is something that is this is very dear to his heart, just one of the solution for him to end the conflict. And also that's why he mentioned federalism, that will be discussed. But this is not something that he will just, and I will let him, discuss federalism, because I don't want to, because it's a bit too complex for me.
What has he told you about his own form of federalism? Is he talking about, from your conversations with him, is he thinking of federalism to mean what existed before, or a new form of state?
No, for him, it's a new form of federalism that will be decided together. It's not something that will be imposed. He said, because we have to bring to the table experts and all parties to come together and see what form of federalism will better suit the country, what will better serve the country, all parties. So this is something that he has been talking about. It's something that he's not taking it lightly. So he doesn't want to come up with something that is very restricted. So he wants to leave it open so that, all parties can come together, all experts, and discuss it really thoroughly to find the form of federalism that will allow, all parts to be to have all the benefits that will benefit all parts this way. And that will also allow stability. That will allow stability of the country, and also integrity of the nation.
You know as well as I do that in Africa, when politicians say one thing, they mean it for the moment. They mean it for the campaign, because African leaders don't lead. The French lead. But we have a new crop of leaders. I'm talking about the Ibrahim Traorés of Africa. Do you think your dad, your father, has the stomach and the will to stand up to the French and say, it is time We decide our own fate, the fate of our people, the fate of our nation. Because the tendency is you go out and you tell people what you want to do, and then once you are in power, the French become the master, and you start listening to them. And which is one reason why, if you ask me as a Southern Cameroonian Amazonian, I will say I don't believe in any form of federalism that doesn't look at what it existed before, because of the nature of the two countries that came together. So your father says, I'm a federalist, but then as a candidate, as president, will he be able to stand up to the French to see that his ideals are implemented?
Well, I can't answer that question. I think he will answer it better than I. But one thing that I know is for him, Pan-Africanism is very important. It's very important. Like, African sovereignty is very important to him. But in the meantime, he's not, he won't go to an extreme and say that he cut ties with everything that is Western, But something that is clear, he said that the terms of collaboration with the West in general and France in particular will be redefined. That is something absolute. It will be redefined.
It will be redefined. What are his peers? What are the peers of your dad still in the Biya regime saying to him? Are they saying, Tchiroma, you are mad, you are crazy, you can't win, stop the nonsense? What are they saying? What is he telling you?
Well, some are quiet and some are whispering things that they hope what we hear because they're afraid. So that's all I can say.
Some are whispering.
Some are quiet and others are whispering, hoping that nobody would hear because they're afraid.
Okay. Now, I want you to answer this very honestly. Do you think your father has a chance of winning an election that Paul Biya is still a candidate?
I am sure that my father will win and the people will stand for the victory. This is something I can say. I'm not saying he will stand a chance. I know he will win for the simple reason that he represents the change that the people are hoping for. And the people at this time in Cameroon, they will fight, they will resist, they will do everything that they can to defend their vote and to protect their vote and to defend their victory. Because, this country has become a masquerade. Everything, it's just a huge masquerade. And the people has awakened. This is something. The people has awakened. So, and they just needed one leader who could just help them fight for what is there, for what belongs to them. And this is what he's giving them.
If I may ask you a hypothetical question. If he doesn't win,
yes.
What happened?
Yes.
Because there is a precedence here. Frundi gathered all the crowds from the north to the south. Kamto came along and did almost the same. None of them went anywhere. We see it in your father doing the same thing now. What if he wins like Frundi did, like Kamto did, and they say, Mr. Tchiroma, you didn't win, but we will make you Minister of Territorial Administration, or we will make you the Speaker of the National Assembly. Remember this question I'm asking you tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow you may be asked the same question. Will he accept any position? Has he told you, will he accept any position in a new regime that he is not a president?
I'm going to give you the answer. If he doesn't win, the first thing that will happen, they will either lock him or worse, kill him. That's it. That's what's going to happen.
I like that answer. Yes. Now we have heard
that's
also
what's going to happen.
We have heard
That's what's going to happen. So there is no anything because he has come too far. There is no going back, and he's very much aware of it. That's what's going to happen if he doesn't win.
Wonderful. We have heard again and again that the Nordists are bent on taking over power in Cameroon, and they have said, with Bia's exit, this is their turn. They want to memorialize the reign of Ahidjo. Are the Nordists seeing in Issa Tchiroma a good representation of Amadou Ahidjo?
I won't put it this way. I think that the youth now doesn't even know about Amadou Ahidjo. So Amadou Ahidjo is just for the youth now, they can't relate to him. They relate to Issa Tchiroma because of what he has done up in the north. He has really given hope because I'm sure that everyone knows that the north is the most impoverished part of Cameroon. And the north has all the ingredients that has led southern Cameroon to the situation where they are now. All the ingredients are found in the northern Cameroon. So Issa Tchiroma represent like a hope for that part, for the northerners. That's what he's representing. I don't really think that the youth is seeing in him Ahidjo because Ahidjo has been, gone for so long. They can't relate to him actually. They can't relate to him. I don't think so.
All right, I hear you. Please, Rouhaya, stay put in there. I will take a brief break out. When I come back, I will open the phone lines for our audience to call in, ask you any question they can, and we'll take most of these questions from ground zero, that is Ambazonia and Cameroon, and of course those in the diaspora too. So please stay put.
Okay.
We will be right back.
Okay.
All right.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
All right, thanks for staying put, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, the phone lines will be open for you to call in, ask any question you can. We do not censor calls here, but when you call, you have only 1 minute or less to make your point, and leave it over to the guest to answer. But before we put the phone number on the screen, I'd like to ask Rouhaya a question. One more question before we open the lines. You said earlier that you've not been interested in politics. So tell us, what is driving you into politics at this moment? Is it because of your dad?
Excuse me, I can't hear for some reason.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Friendly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but very faintly. I don't know why.
All right, hold on out there.
Some technical.
All right, I hope you can hear me now.
Better. But it's still not
It's
as
only better?
earlier. But yeah, it's slightly better, yeah.
All right, all right. I was going to ask you, you said earlier that you've never been a political person, but at this moment, you really feel the need. You feel the need to get into it. Are you doing this because of your father or because of the state of the country?
The question if I'm doing it because of my father or
the state of the country?
yeah, I mean, I can say it straight away. I'm doing it for the state of the country, definitely, because I believe that to me, we are all Cameroonian. We are hostages. I consider ourselves hostages, and I'm one of the hostages. And so it is my responsibility also to fight for my freedom and for our freedom. It's our responsibility. So I'm doing it really for the state of the country, which is absolutely unbearable. I'm a mother. I have 2 children. And considering the state of the country, I don't see my children living in a country like that. It's not possible. It has to change. And if I don't do it now, then I don't know when.
If there was one thing you would change, what would you change in Cameroon as a matter of priority?
I'm sorry, the sound is not good at all.
I don't know. I think it is maybe.
Yeah, now it's good. Now it's perfect.
Okay, good. So if there was one thing that you would change in Cameroon, what would you change as a matter of priority?
Priority.
Yes.
Bringing, to me, it would be social justice, bringing more justice in the country. That's to me would be the priority. Okay. Because, I mean, that's the roots of everything, bringing more justice. Because I think from justice, when there is justice, there is freedom. There is no freedom without justice. So to me, it's just trying to bring more justice and fairness in the country.
When you say social justice, what exactly are you referring to?
I'm referring to different things, but mainly to the fact that, I think that all Cameroon, I can hear again. I believe that we need to bring more equality. See how you say it in English?
Yes, equality, and, yes.
Yes, more equality. And also, because people are treated, people freedom have been tempered, people dignity have been tempered, and I believe that these are the things that are bringing a lot of frustrations. People's rights have been tempered because there is no. I believe that our country is one where human rights mean nothing.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, the line is open. You have the phone number there on your screen. Go ahead, call and ask Rouhaya any question that you may, either about herself or the dad's political ambition. The phone line is open. Go ahead and call, please. Go ahead and call. The line is there on your screen. Unfortunately, the other guest who was supposed to join I think he is disconnected. His screen is frozen. But let's get to this caller first. I think this is from Ground Zero. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
I am calling from Gokutunga County. It's been a long time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for calling. How are you guys doing in Ngoketunjia today?
We are doing fine. The ghost town is reinforced. Everything moving as planned.
Wonderful. Thank you. What question do you have for Rouhaya?
Yes, Comrade Chris, I'm sorry. I wish to plead that you give me just some few time. It's true, I'm the first caller. I have something to say about Tchiroma that Cameroonians are not aware. Tchiroma is not yet dissociated from the CPDM and Bello Buba also. So all what is happening is a CPDM charade. They want to make people to feel that no, they are really autonomous. They really want to go in and then win the elections. And then at the end, when they must have orchestrated their fraud, now when people now will maybe come out, they would calm them down. But I want to say in this case, it will backfire because people are really determined for change. Yes, Tchiroma is a professional betrayer. He's a professional liar, as far as the Anglophone is concerned, that we know about all these things. Yeah, so if that wasn't the case, I don't see why Bello Buba and Tchiroma will not sit down and then one person goes out as a single candidate for the presidency to come back to the north. Yes, so CPDM is behind all these things, and then I want to talk to.
Do you want to see the presidency go back to the north?
Well, it doesn't concern us. It is like a public issue. It doesn't concern us. Yeah, whether it goes to the north or it goes back to the south, we are resilient. We are focused, and nothing will change our focus.
All right, you wanted to ask a question to Rouhaya.
Yes. Rouhaya said that as far as the federalism is concerned, that the father says they will sit down, all the regions will be concerned. That one does not concern us. Now we know that the Francophone population has overshadowed the Anglophone population. If they're talking about anything, the referendum about the form of the state, I think it should be organized in the English-speaking regions. The Republic shouldn't be concerned. We are the ones who are supposed to decide whether we have accepted the federation, which we are not even for that, right? So I just want her to know this. I don't even have any question to ask her. I just wanted to edify her on that and even the Republic citizens. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Rouhaya, let me put the question this way. Both your dad and Buba Bello are from the same region of La République du Cameroon. And when you hear callers saying, why are they not coming together as a team, as a single candidate, a united candidate? Are there any efforts between your dad and Buba Bello towards a united front from the north?
First of all, look at the events. Look what happened. Exactly. People should actually refrain from drawing quick conclusions. I think it's very important to see beyond what is appearance, beyond appearances. What happened? When Tchiroma resigned, soon after, Bello also resigned. You see? Right after. Why would that happen? Why would that happen first? It was obvious that the only reason why he resigned, because he resigned and see the set of events that followed. I think people should really use their discernment. I know that there is a lot of, the regime is very cunning and they know people like the mass psychology. So they really want to make sure that people do not trust the politician. And there is a reason why. Because in the past, politicians has proven not to be, most of them, unfortunately, have proven to be, mostly doing things for their own interest. So that at this time, it was very obvious that with the set of events, Tchiroma resigning, Bello resigning, and them not finding a way to come together, it was obvious. But why did they not come together? I think people should ask the question and try to find the answer rather than drawing conclusion very quickly. That's all I can say. People have to think through it. Because the Cameroonian, there is something that happens. People, there is like a smoke screen here that is preventing people from seeing really a plot. Because obviously there is a plot there.
All right.
They just want to make sure that change that people want is not just possible. Look at even the same thing happened with the coalition. People said, okay, coalition should happen, but they did everything possible to prove that it's not going to happen, just to discourage people. So when you say that when the gentleman say that he's determined, it's good. Thank God he's determined, because Tchiroma is even more determined to go till the end.
Are you by any means suggesting that the regime may be behind Buba Bello just to try to divide the vote in the north, and also to present a situation where he kind of discredits your dad?
Just going to let everyone, appreciation, but things are not as simple as they seem.
Let's get to this other caller. Hello.
Hello, I'm calling from Tico.
Okay, thanks for calling, sir. What is on your mind?
Thank you. I want to ask Rouhaya. I want to ask her a question.
Okay, go on.
Where was she when her father publicly said a village should be razed down in the southern Cameroon? That was Kwakwa, a village known as Kwakwa. What was her take on the people affected? And what was her take to her father? What was her advice to the people, and what was her take to her father? I want to ask her that question.
Okay, I totally understand you. I understand your question, but I think there are certain questions that we will leave for the father himself to answer. And I hope that I can get the opportunity to bring him on one of these days, and he will be well placed to answer some of those questions. Do you have any other question or thing to say?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. But this goes back to the point I was making earlier, Rouhaya, about the presence of your dad in the regime, with all the atrocities that the regime has inflicted on the people of the southern Cameroons and Bazonia. We have over 100,000 refugees between Nigeria and Ghana and Gabon, those areas.
Yes.
We have, as you know, over 900,000 internally displaced. But hold on, let's take this question and we'll come back there. Hello.
Yes, Comrade Chris.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. I have a question for Madame Rouhaya.
You called earlier, right?
Yes, yes.
All right,
yes.
Go on. What's the question?
Yes, I want to ask Madame Rouhaya, has she ever come out to denounce has she ever come out to denounce the negative attitude of her father towards the Anglophones, or toward the Anglophone crisis that all of us we know for the past 8 years?
That's a fair question. Let me ask her, because I will allow her to answer, because I think it's a fair question. She is an adult. She knows what is going on over there. All right. Thank you for the call. Rouhaya, please.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Don't
Well,
you
thank
think
you
that's a
for
fair
that question.
correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. First of all, I need to say, as I stated earlier, I've always kept far away from politics because I've always been concerned by the welfare of people. So I've always felt deep in my heart the situation, in the southern Cameroon area, just as I felt the same for the people up in the north who were, killed by Boko Haram. I feel for all people. I'm very sensitive to the suffering of people. But as I said, the only time I decided to step up and just fight and just express, this need for change is now. That's the first time. As I said, I've always remained away. That's why even people didn't know about my affiliation with my father, because I've always had a discreet life. It doesn't mean that I was indifferent. Absolutely not. But I just, at that time, I preferred just to remain, in the background and do what I could at my own level to just help improve, people's, welfare, and as a healer, as a caretaker, that's what I've done.
There's a problem, though, with your answer because I think you
Yes.
live in that country long enough to know the mentality of
Yes.
people when it comes to national crisis. Every
Yes.
time Southern Cameroonians legitimately protested, be it the legal system, be it infrastructure, be it the educational system, we were told it's a problem of the country. It's a problem of the country. It's the same problem. It's the same road problem in the West. It's the same water problems in the North. It's the same everywhere. But can't you recognize that the Southern Cameroons have a peculiar problem that is different from what obtains in different parts of Cameroon, to the extent that you cannot equate what has gone on in the Southern Cameroon for 61 years with the same thing going on in other parts of Cameroon?
Totally. It's very deep. Totally, I agree with you. I agree with you that the problem in the southern Cameroon is very peculiar. Absolutely, it's unfair. It's very peculiar. But as I said, what I was trying to point at is like me being from the north, coming from the north. As I said earlier, it's the same ingredients that you have in the north that created the problem, the conflict in southern Cameroon, because there's other part of Cameroon don't have the same situation. That's obvious. So yes, I agree that the situation in the southern Cameroon is peculiar. Absolutely, I'm not denying it, and I'm not. I don't think it's less. It's lesser than how can I say it? It's something quite. It is. I'm trying to find the word. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It is something critical, as I say. Yeah, it's something very critical.
Now tell me, where did you learn English? You speak English quite good, just as your father does. Did you school in the U.S., in the London?
No, not at all.
What?
Not at all. I just spent 1 year in South Africa, just 1 year. The English level that I have now is after studying just 1 year in South Africa. And then I did all my other studies in China. So no, I never went to school in Europe or in America.
In China, what language did you use?
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
I can speak Mandarin.
So
I did all my studies in
just 1 year to learn all this English that you are speaking here.
Yes, just 1 year in South
I
Africa.
asked your dad where you learned English because he too speaks English really good. He said he learned it in prison.
Yes, that's accurate.
And talking about prison, are you worried that at the end of the day, when the elections are rigged, he may be back in prison?
That is possible. and I hopefully not, but it's part of the game. Those are the risks.
Do you plan to go back to Cameroon to join him in the campaigns in the coming days of the election?
Well, considering the situation there, I'm still thinking about it because it might not be advised that I go back right now.
Are you afraid to go back?
No, afraid is not that, but I think I am more useful abroad right now. Like I can freely speak to you on this show.
So you think you go back on the ground, you cannot speak freely?
I think I go back on the ground. There are, there are threats. I have to say that there are also threats on my person.
What do you make of the fact that Southern Cameroonians consider themselves a different country now altogether? I mean, we call ourselves Ambazonia. Hold on to that question. Let's get to this caller and then we'll get back to it. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Chris.
Yes, so where are you calling from, sir?
Calling from Sweden.
From Sweden, okay. And what is on your mind, sir?
Yes, sir. Very much appreciative for what you're doing, and I would like to ask my question to Mrs. Tchiroma or Madame Tchiroma.
Go on, sir.
Yeah, my question, first of all, I want to appreciate her for coming publicly, like presenting herself in a situation like this, answering questions. If all the other children of those former colonial ministers can also come up and answer questions, we can get vibes from what they are feeling, what are their feelings, and how can they talk to their father that this is wrong, this is right. So I want to appreciate her for coming up. There are a host of them that are hiding among us and doing a lot of bad things and eating only monies from the government and staying quiet. So, Madam Tchiroma, I really appreciate your effort to show your face to us. My question was, what can she tell us that she has been telling her father during the whole process of the Ambazonia crisis? And what did her father tell her? Because she looks really more like she knows what, mature, more like she knows what is happening. Thank you, Mr. Chris.
Thank you, sir. Rouhaya, go on, please.
The question again, I didn't hear it clearly because there was a background noise.
The question is, what have you told your father or advised your father for these 9 years that the Ambazonian conflict has been going on, and what has he said to you?
So for this conflict, for these 9 years, because what I can tell is mostly when he was in the...
Hello?
Yes.
Hold the line. Hold the line. Stay on the line.
While he was on, while he was a spokesperson, he didn't have much to say because, he was just following what he was asked, the narrative that he was asked to share. But then recently, the one thing that he has been talking about is like this crisis has to end because there will never ever be peace in Cameroon. And the reason, and he says that what is truly unfortunate is that it's clearly.
I think we lost connection there. I hope she can reconnect and join us. Let's hope she can reconnect and join us. But while we hope she rejoins, let me take this other question, this other caller. Hello.
Hello.
I'm getting you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. So where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, I can.
I'm calling from Baba 2, Santa Subdivision.
Okay,
My
Baba
names
2.
are
All right. What is on your
my
mind,
names
sir?
are Mr. Anji Samuel.
Are you watching on your phone or on television?
Yes.
Are you watching on your phone or television?
I was watching the television, but I'm out now.
Okay, all right. Go on. What is your contribution?
I'm out of the television now because of network. Because we don't have. I want to ask a question to Mr. Issa Tchiroma's daughter.
Okay, go on, sir. She is not here. She is disconnected, but I believe she is hearing us. If she reconnect, then I will make sure she answers your question. Go on.
I want to ask her about the 2 cubes of sugar. Whether the father told her about the 2 cubes of sugar. Whether the 2 cubes of sugar are now tasty in the. Are you getting me?
I'm getting you. Go on.
Okay. Second question. The father said, "I could."
Well,
the Cameroon military had never killed or shot anybody in Canada. Why do you say that? Unquote.
Okay.
What is her rule?
Okay. Thank you for the questions. I hear you. Again, as I said to an earlier caller, there are some questions that we will reserve for her father to answer, and I'm hoping to extend an invitation to him to join me on the show one of these days. And some of these questions, he will be in the right place to answer them. Unfortunately, she cannot reconnect. She has not reconnected. I think it's a network issue at her end. But thank you for the question, sir.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, I will take you to a very important segment of this show, a very special appeal that I want to bring to you. Let me take this caller first. Hello.
Hello, sorry, there was power off.
Hello.
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 Yeah, good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Ground Zero.
From Ground Zero. Okay. And what is your question, sir?
Yeah, Comrade Chris.
Yes, I can hear you.
This question from Mezam.
Yes, go on. Go on. What's your question?
Yeah, my question goes to you. What prompts you to bring her up to bring her up? Because I don't know. Do you now work with them?
How long have you been watching ABS, sir? For how long have you been watching ABS?
For long. Even though you were not on, but I've been watching.
All right. Now you will realize that I bring everybody on ABS, right? And that doesn't, and when you are a host and you bring a guest on the show to do an interview, that doesn't mean you endorse the ideas of your guests. It is left for you, the viewer, to decide what you believe and what you don't believe. That is just what this is all about. Does that make sense?
Okay. I understand, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome.
All right. Rouhaya, it's great to have you back. I thought I lost you completely, but
Yes.
Let's round this up so that I can let you go. I know it's late over there. Your dad is out there trying to win the minds of Cameroonians to become the third president after independence in 1960 for at least La République du Cameroun. Hold on a second, please. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Where are you calling from, please?
I am calling from South Africa.
South Africa. And what is on your mind, sir?
Yes, I wish to ask the Tchiroma Junior, as I may call her, if it happens that the Ambazonia is going their separate way, will she be happy? And what would be her take? Will she in any way support the Ambazonia struggle? Thank you.
Thank you. Rouhaya, the question is, how would you feel? Would you be happy if the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia is going its own way? What is your take on that?
To me, that will be the biggest failure in this country, of the leaders of the country. That will really sadden me because, Cameroon is one country. We all have the right to live and thrive in this country. And if you have to come to the point where the Ambazonian have to go their own way, it means that, the leaders here have failed and that has failed. So that will be really sad. That will be really unfortunate because I know that those who came to the point because of the suffering, because of everything that they have endured, decide to go their own way. It's not because they don't like Cameroon, but because they believe that they came to a point where they can't bear anymore the way they've been treated, and so they have all the rights to fight for what they believe is right for them. So to me, it will really sadden me. It will be deep, deep sadness for me if it had to come that way.
Thank you. I appreciate that recognition there. Let me get back to the question of the Southern Cameroons. When I mentioned the idea of every time the Southern Cameroons question comes up, we hear French politicians say, well, it's the same thing all over the country. And we have always believed it can never be the same because when I'm sure you grow up in that country and you realize that Ambazonia, the Southern Cameroons, is the breadbasket of that entire geographical territory. Without the Southern Cameroons, with its oil, with its timber, with its bananas, with its oranges, with its pineapple, with its rubber, with its cocoa and coffee, Cameroon will not exist.
And wonderful climates.
With a wonderful climate. And you will recall that one reason the British said, it would not be good to give the Southern Cameroons complete independence was because, as they said it, the Southern Cameroons wouldn't be able to manage a government because of lack of resources. Yet it turns out that the Southern Cameroons has remained in bondage for 61 or 62 years or so because of its resources. And they cry and cry and cry, and what they are giving is arrest and torture, brutality, imprisonment. And let's get back to the question of refugees in Nigeria, over 100,000, internally displaced, over 900,000, over 400 towns and villages burnt by the Cameroon army. I can quote and quote and quote and quote. We have thousands of Ambazonians languishing for no reason in prison yards in Yaoundé, in Douala, in Bafoussam, in Bamenda, in Boya, all over the place. The prisons in that country are filled with prisoners of conscience from the Southern Cameroons. Do you appreciate why Southern Cameroonians are bitter and would want to cut off?
I totally understand.
Does your father do?
Totally. Absolutely. He does, and he's determined to end it by all means. He's determined to end it by all means.
But if that is the case, why is he not just saying, hey, let's go back to where we were in 1961? Let's go back to
I
1960.
can hear.
Can you hear me?
No,
Can you hear
I'll
me?
try again.
I think it must be at your end because I see.
Perhaps. See.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, lightly.
You can hear now.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes. Say it again, please. The question.
All right. So if you acknowledge these things, and your father surely does, and Ambazonians has started this conflict with saying we go back to 1961, where we had two sovereign states but considered one country. Why would your father not just say, hey, all right, Southern Cameroonians want to go back to 1961. They are not breaking away. It is still one country. But at least we recognize the cultural differences, but we want to make ourselves one. Just as obtains in the USA, in Nigeria, in the UK, where you have a federal structure. Why is it not outrightly saying so, and instead talking about some federation that may end up in 15 or 10 or 4 states?
Well, I think that again, I think you really should invite him on your show, and I think he will give a better answer. Because yeah, I prefer him answering that question.
All right, so you would prefer he answers the question, I guess. All right, let's get back to the last. I think this may probably be our last caller here. Hello.
Yeah, hello?
Hello, where are you calling from, sir?
Yeah, I'm calling from the state of Maryland in the United States.
All right, and what is on your mind?
Yes, actually, first of all, I want to start by congratulating you for having Mr. Issa Tchiroma's daughter on your program as a spokesperson for Mr. Issa Tchiroma. So now I don't like to get into family issues, so I would address her as a spokesperson for Mr. Tchiroma. Now, this was my greatest concern, and this is why I applaud you, Mr. Chris Ano, for demonstrating that Anglo-Saxon way of doing things. Because I remember on live television in Cameroon, Mr. Issa Tchiroma threatened to close a TV station if they spoke about Ambazonians. Ambazonians that, okay, I may not agree with them, and we may, just the same as you don't agree with Mr. Tchiroma, but that's the spokesperson who is on your TV talking. That's the kind of country that we want to build. And I'm going to show you the video of Mr. Tchiroma who threatened on live television to ban a TV station if they had a debate or talked about Ambazonian, as if Ambazonian was not something that affects Cameroon that people could talk about. So I don't know what they are thinking today. I don't know if they change their mindset. That was my question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the call. Rouhaya, I promise you the questions that your dad would answer, I will not allow them come to you. I am hoping, really hoping that I will get him on the show before the elections. But that is a very legitimate question. There is one thing to go and sit on television and tell the people what the government wants you to what the government wants you to say. It's another thing to say you will ban a whole television network for talking things about Ambazonia. Let's get to the other caller here. Hello. Hello. Think we lost that caller. We lost that caller. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chris. I want to use this opportunity to thank you for the wonderful job you are doing watching you live from Ghana. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good to know you are watching from Ghana. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Where are you calling from, sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I want to ask a direct question to Mr. Cristiano.
Go on, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm calling from Bahrain.
Bahrain. All right, go on. What's your question?
Yeah, I want to be frank. Are you indirectly campaigning for Mr. Issa Tchiroma?
Why do you think so?
Are you indirectly campaigning for Mr. Issa Tchiroma?
And why do you think so?
From all what I've been hearing from the daughter, and you trying to avoid some certain questions.
Right. Hold on there. Let me explain again. I will go back to what I said to a previous caller, that there are certain questions that we would like to pose to Issa Tchiroma himself. There is no doubt, as a daughter, she only knows certain things. There are certain things she cannot explain. But but Issa Tchiroma himself will take every question, and there will be no bars holding for him. You can rest assured that. But you will also agree that from day number one of this channel, we have a policy that everybody, I don't care if you are poor beer, you are welcome to show up on the channel if you have something to say. And so, as our policy, we will keep on bringing everybody. It doesn't hurt to listen to your opponents. You learn and you understand where they are coming from without necessarily endorsing what they say. I think you have known me enough to know that I'm a straight down the middle somebody. All right. Okay, I think I missed some callers there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take you to the last segment of this broadcast, which is an appeal. An appeal that I would like to make to all Ambazonians out there, and that has to do with sustaining ABS. Sustaining ABS. That is the subject of this last part of the show that I bring to you tonight. I won't be taking any calls at this moment. At the heart of every liberation movement, there is always a voice that speaks for the people, a voice that educates, informs, and rallies them to action. For the Southern Cameroons, that voice has been ABS television, this same television. Over the years, ABS has emerged as the single most reliable channel through which our people, both home and abroad, stay connected to the realities of our struggle. When international media turns a blind eye, when the oppressor distorts the truth, when silence threatens to swallow our cause, ABS has stood firm as a guiding light, giving voice to the voiceless and courage to the weary. It has educated the world about our plight, informed Ground Zero about the realities of their fight, and united the diaspora around one common goal, which is the total liberation of Ambazonia. But let me admit the bitter truth, ladies and gentlemen. Too often, this powerful tool has gone silent, not because the enemy silenced it, but because we, its very beneficiaries, failed to fuel it. Too often, ABS has been forced off the air by a lack of funding. And in those dark moments, our people have been left stranded, confused, and even demoralized. Many thought the struggle itself had died simply because ABS went silent. That is how crucial ABS is to this fight, to the cause. Since July, ABS has been off the air. For months, our people at home had no access to the lifeline that gives them direction and hope. Only recently have we been able to put ABS back on satellite, restoring that vital connection with Ground Zero. But we cannot, and we must not allow this circle to repeat itself. We must never again let ABS go off the air. ABS is not a for-profit making venture. It is not a business. It is not owned by an individual seeking to enrich himself. ABS is registered as an NGO, and its mission is singular: to serve the cause of Ambazonia and to give our people a platform of truth and education in the midst of war. For it to remain consistent, it depends entirely on the goodwill, the sacrifice and commitment of the very people it serves, that is, you and me. Here is a reality. If just 150 people commit to supporting ABS with only $25 a month, we will never again face the embarrassment and setback of going off the air. Just 125 people. $25 is almost a sacrifice. For many abroad, it is less than what you spend on a family dinner or a weekend outing. For those on Ground Zero, $25 is less than 12,000 CFA francs, a small price to pay to keep our struggle alive in the hearts and minds of our people and the international community. And yet, for ABS, that small sacrifice means uninterrupted broadcasting. It means our mothers in the villages will continue to hear our voices, our message. It means our fighters on the ground will know the struggle is alive and the world is watching. It means the diaspora will remain united and informed. I know that some among us are capable of giving even more than $25. If you are one of those, please do not hesitate. Step forward and give as much as you can. This is not about equal giving, but about equal sacrifice. What matters is that we all take responsibility for the lifeline of our struggle. Let us treat ABS with the same seriousness as we treat any weapon of defense. In fact, I say without fear of exaggeration that ABS has been more potent to our cause than an AK-47. For why guns defend a nation? ABS defends the soul of the nation. Why bullets silence the enemies? ABS awakens the conscience of the world. This channel is our most powerful tool of communication and resistance. We cannot let it die. So today I am making this passionate appeal to you. Help us keep ABS alive. Help us keep the voice of Ambazonia unbroken. Help us ensure that never again will our people wonder if the struggle is over because ABS went silent. If you are ready to commit, whether $25 a month or more, please send me a message on the number we use for our live calls. Take this step, not for me, not for ABS as an institution, but for the survival of our cause. History will judge us harshly if we fail to sustain the very tools that carry our struggle forward. Let us rise above excuses, above hesitation, above complacency. Let us match our words with action. Let us fuel ABS so it can continue to fuel the cause of Ambazonia. The time to act is now. The responsibility is ours, and the reward will be freedom. That is my appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen. I really wish and hope that we will all take up the burden of ABS. Because every time ABS is not on air, it is like the struggle is dead. We do not want it to be so. We want to keep ABS on satellite. You will not believe the number of messages I have received since ABS went back on satellite. You won't believe it, and I'm sure I'm not the only one receiving those messages. The boys in the bushes are doing their best. We need to amplify their work and their voices. And ABS is the genuine tool with which we do so. So please, I appeal to you, call that number or send a message to the number you find on your screen and say, Comrade Chris, I want to join the ABS 150 forum. Each person giving just $25 or more in a month, and we will get ABS to stay on the air uninterrupted. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your generosity. And again, the number is there. Send me a message to that effect. And before I go, I just want to remind you on Monday, I will be coming back here to give my final address as the leader of the interim government of Ambazonia. Again, last Sunday, there was an election here. My term came to an end officially today, September the 26th. My term came officially to an end today, September the 26th, and elections were conducted last Sunday. Actually a week ago. And Dr. Anthony Epa was elected to become the next leader of the struggle and of the interim government. I will be making my final address on Monday, and on Wednesday, being October 1st, Dr. Epa will be addressing Ambazonia. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to being back here on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, Dr. Epa will be inaugurated on Sunday, and if everything goes right, we will bring it live to you on Sunday, of course, on ABS. Thank you for tuning in, and God bless you all, and good night.